The owner of this car wanted to call the gold exchange gear shaft, but the Pakistani master said that it could be repaired and it would take 5 rupees to splice and continue to use. The gear shaft in front of him was broken at the spline end and the end face was still missing. If you want to keep the length after splicing the same, you must first measure the original data as a reference to prevent the length after splicing from not meeting the requirements. Because the material hardness is high, you also need to use a raised chair to heat and soften it. When the end face is completely annealed, it can reduce the difficulty of cutting with the turning tool. Because the fracture surface is an inclined surface, you also need to cut it flat. The amount of cutting at this time will shorten its length, but it can be made up later. This is also the reason why the master cuts cleanly, then use their twist drill to make necessary holes in the entire shaft core. For this kind of splicing of 2 shafts, the hole position of the core is the key to concentricity and coaxiality. It does not affect the concentricity of the gear shaft after splicing, and the strength of the body will not drop drastically. When the master uses the largest drill to expand the hole diameter reaches the splicing standard. Under the premise of restoring the length of the circular field, the master prepared to insert this section of copper material through the hole for inline docking. The purpose of compensating the length was achieved. The gear shaft will not break easily. After the master measured the exterior seam and removed the hair, the metal protrusion with the same hole diameter was used. It was necessary to fit it to the bottom of the hole with a small hammer to avoid the internal hollow bone affecting the splicing strength. With the master's very fast combination, the other end of the steel needed to be cut and cut. This side was to be docked with the rapier end. Although they were all built in by metal, the length of the rapier end was too long. The hard connection would affect the concentricity when it was hit. The rapier end shaft rod can be easily connected. After the master measured the exterior seam with high-end cardboard, the broken rapier end shaft rod was also processed according to the metal thread data. Although the gear shaft was broken, the hardness of the end face did not decrease at all. This is also the reason why it needs to be preheated for 5 minutes. The axle will not become shorter. When the outer diameter of metal is fixed, a drill bit of the same grade is needed to expand the hole so that the flower sword and shaft can be tightly connected. After the hole depth meets the requirements, Fu will use the hole cutter to process the same inner rib according to the logic of cutting just now. Although the inner wall of the hole is not conducive to naked eye observation, the master's processing is not dragged at all. After the hole is processed, the flower sword end can be rotated and connected because the 2 sides have lost a little length. It is necessary to measure continuously. This gap is the key to restore the length. After the master's careful comparison, the gap can be filled with welding rods. A wide enough gap can not only completely connect the 3 sections, but also prevent the splicing from breaking again. The raised welding bar covers the flower sword groove. Fu first uses a lathe tool to remove the excess part. If the appearance is consistent with the original factory, it is necessary to extend it through the saw blade of the correction grinder. Although their repair shop does not have a high-end washing machine, the width of the saw blade is just about the same as the width of the slot. This way, the flower sword slot can be completely restored. At that time, after the master simply polished it with sandpaper, the gear shaft that was broken into 2 sections was repaired with a round steel splice. Such repair technology is really amazing.